Hello, hello. I wanted to come by and say hi, see how everyone's doing. Um, yeah, I feel like this winter I've kind of been hibernating some. Um, what does that mean? I guess the best analogy that I got was that, when we think about plants, fruit trees, sometimes they go, or not sometimes, they go dormant during like the winter. And I feel where they're not blooming, they're not like bursting with like life, that's kind of where I've been at. I just feel like I've been a little bit dormant, and now that the sun's coming out a little bit more I feel like I'm starting to come out of my shell a little bit, where I have the energy to put forth and do other things. And there's been a couple things that have been popping up for me that I just kind of wanted to touch on, put out there. I know that a lot of times that I do these posts and there's caption, and I think sometimes there's an energy that can be received, differently when you hear it communicated, when you get to see the person speaking, and you could feel my energy through, the video. And I know there's a lot of people who are learning more about energy and how things are all interconnected. Um, and I do my best to teach people how to have boundaries, about what is their energy and what is not. And also, kind of, we don't, just because we can feel doesn't mean that we need to. Uh, and that's a hard thing to learn, especially if you're an empath, because sometimes there's a lot of us at one point or another was like, I'm curious about everything, and I can feel it, or I can fix it, or I can help them. And we're gonna touch on a few different things. So first, the most important one, really, is how do you cleanse your energy? There are some, quick remedies. The first one that is like, part of my curriculum, I make everyone get a bundle of sage. And, all you want to do is light it, kind of go through your whole house. I do this once a week or sooner if needed. And as you can see, I've got a decent size bundle. And, I sometimes you see those like those little bundles that are like that big, and they're cute, but you'll go through that real quick. um, but what sage does is that just cleanses your energy of your home space, which is really what you want to do. It also will cleanse the energy of your space. So if you're doing it once a week, it is definitely going to help you. If you are dealing with some, funky energy, with someone, and say it's like a coworker, or say you have a bad interaction with someone and you come home and you're just kind of like, uh, sage will help. A hot shower. Um, sometimes when we think about when we've had a really rough day and we're just like, God, I just need a fucking shower, like a hot shower, a scalding hot shower. You don't have to go scalding, but a hot shower definitely will make you feel good. Um, Also, if you are, say you are dating, or even if you're not dating and you just are hooking up, uh, if you invite someone into your bed, because there is an energy exchange between them. Once you have sex with someone, a hot shower, especially if it's someone that you just kind of like, you jump in the moment and it wasn't as good as you thought it was going to be. A hot shower, saging definitely helps, but also you want to wash your linens, change them out, and just clean everything. So those are quick remedies of what you can do to cleanse the energy of your space. Um, one of There's one more thing. Um, if you are someone who is into crystals or stones, have an effect on you for in a positive way, uh, having stones in your space will definitely help. Um, as you can see, I've got plenty. But they all contribute to the whole. So if you have all of these other um say like pieces to the puzzle that are all contributing to the energy of your home and your space, it will definitely have a positive impact. So now that that's kind of out of the way, how are people receiving messages? And sometimes there are people who I've been there too, especially in the beginning when I didn't know when I was receiving messages. Um, and there are times where you're like, some things are bizarre with how they unfold. And sometimes you're just kind of like, was that a sign? Like, and then you're like, but wait, maybe I'm just tripping. And maybe like I want that to be a sign, or like maybe I just need another sign, or a sign that is more of a signy sign, if that makes sense. And on occasion, sometimes you will get the more signy sign that is like a gong or the fireworks that are going off. But other times, here's an example. If you get uh, like three, uh, what was the thing that just came up for someone recently? Uh, we were talking about, it was kind of like a past life regression, and this was actually like 2 months ago. But for him, he was all like, this is the third time that this has come up in 24 hours. So he's like, I'm kind of paying attention to it. And you know that's a perfect example. When things pop up in different ways, um or this just happened actually yesterday. I was talking about sage with someone, and they're like, this is the second or third time in 24 hours this has been brought up through various people. And that is a sign. Like, you know what I mean? There's no way that uh, something like that can pop up in three random ways that are all unattached. And while some things may be small, other ways might be big. And there's another conversation that I had with someone. It was like 2 weeks ago, and um, this is someone that I play volleyball with, and he is a new person. There's a lot of people that come and play volleyball that are transplants from other areas. It could be just Minnesota, Florida, Portland, um, everywhere. So sometimes when you're talking with people, well, especially for me, things tend to unravel, and it's always a positive. But I tend to hold space for people a lot. And in this case, this guy just starts sharing, and he didn't even realize why he was sharing some of the things that he was sharing. And, for me, I'm like, this ain't my first rodeo. So I knew. So, and when I was picking up on what was happening, I was able to ask some questions. And one of the things that he was talking about is that how he kind of ended up here was that he was working for a job that he knew he wasn't supposed to be in, that he knew he was supposed to leave, but he just wasn't listening. And within a week of him not listening, like when he had that first instinct and he didn't act on it or do anything, he ended up getting into a work related accident where he sliced off the tip of his finger. And he was like, once that happened, he's like, I knew it. And I quit my job, and like, I knew it. And that was the straw. Um, and one of the things, because I kept hearing when he was talking, I was like, there was a second trigger. And so I just asked, like, some of the things that come filter through me, sometimes I have no idea what they're attached to, because it's not my story. But I will say, either my spirit guides or his will kind of lead me to the direction. And I was like, what was the second trigger? And then he was like, bro, uh, he was looking for a job where he wanted to utilize his degree. And he was like, this job opportunity came up, and he's like, I saw it. And he goes, there was this guy in this photo about this job that I wanted, and it was me. He's like, this person looked exactly like me. And like, so as this is like coming out, and mind you, like, I'm still running volleyball. I'm holding this conversation on the sidelines and just being like, okay, like, here we are. Um, and shit, well, there was another piece to that. Seeing the image of himself, and uh because I asked him, I said, where did you feel that? I was like, you know that you felt that somewhere. Like, where did you feel that? And he was all like, dude, it was in my gut. And for me, when I'm kind of getting these things, I'm trying to lead them to a place where they are able to listen to their intuition, where it's attached to, where they're feeling it. So that way, when they are carrying on, it's not about me projecting my shit onto them and being like, you need to do this. It's more like, you knew what you need to do. You know where you felt it. Sometimes when we receive information, we can receive information through our crown chakra. Also, how we perceive things will sometimes be through our third eye. Um, our heart might deceive us and tell us what we wish it could be. Our minds sometimes might tell us, rationalize or justify, but our gut will always tell us exactly what the answer is. Because it's either one way or the other. And for him, he was like, yeah, it was in my gut and I knew it. And I'm like, perfect. And I think what my moment in that position was to give him validation that he knew what he was feeling. Also, it was important to point out that the missing tip of his finger was his permanent reminder of what it's like when you don't listen to your intuition for him. Because every time he looks down, it's like he knows what happened. He knew he wasn't supposed to be in that position. And also, if he didn't get out in that moment in time, he might have had a missed opportunity, because then he wouldn't have found that job opportunity, seen that image of him, and whole chain of events, right? So, um, saging, cleansing your space, that is one thing that you can do. Just keep in your toolbox and know that you have that anytime. Get yourself some sage. But listening to your intuition and messages, sometimes signs, symbols, and synchronicities will be popping up for you. And I can talk till I'm blue in the face. You know what it feels like when you've received messages. And some people have had different experiences. And a lot of people are actually really scared to share these experiences with other people, either because they don't have the right people around them where they can be open, or they might doubt their experience. Which is another thing, which is I always try to do, is encourage people to share with their confidants, when they receive messages or when they get validation about their intuition, and how things tend to fall in place. Because I can't, it's too, how do I say that? It's impossible for me to lay out like every scenario on how just things tend to fall in place when they are meant to be. And even talking with the guy at volleyball who missed his finger, like sliced off his finger, like there's no way that I would have been able to ever uh, write that shit. But it's cool when I get to hold space and I get to help people make those connections. And I'm hoping that someone gets something somewhere where they begin to trust their intuition. They are able to begin to strengthen their bonds with their spirit guides. We all have them. And the more energy that you put into that communication where you're listening to them, and, the more you listen to them, the more they'll speak to you. And it's only positive things. So I hope that was like a good tangent. Like, and it made sense. And I didn't ramble too much, but to be continued. We'll talk again. I hope all is well. And yeah, if there's any questions or anything that I could elaborate on, let me know because I love teaching and it's important to, send out positive ripple effects. So, to be continued, we'll talk again. Bye.